Hi everyone, I'm KHOU 11 Meteorologist Pat Cavlin here with a look at Severe Weather Awareness Week. That starts on Monday, March 6th, and it goes through Friday the 10th, and each day focuses on a different topic. Well, Monday's topic focuses on the #1 weather-related killer in the United States, and that is heat. And obviously we are no stranger to heat here in Southeast Texas. So it may be kind of surprising that with all of the other severe weather that we see, hurricanes, tornadoes, floods, that heat is the #1 killer, but it has a lot to do with the vulnerable parts of our population, the elderly, the young, and even healthy adults if you're not taking proper care of yourself. So let's talk more about heat and exactly how it affects the body, right? So we always talk about hot car deaths, especially as we get into the summertime months, because when temperatures are 90, 95 degrees, it doesn't take long for the car to heat up. But think about the forecast the last few days and for the upcoming week, how temperatures are in the mid-80s. Even temperatures in the mid-80s this time of year, something that we're not typically thinking about, can really add up here in a car. So after 10 minutes, a temperature of 85 degrees makes the inside of a car feel like it's 100 to 105 degrees. Give it a half an hour, that feels like temperature inside the car is pushing 120 degrees. And of course, after an hour, this is when we see some of the most brutal numbers. An 85-degree temperature outside. Again, forecast temperatures that we're going to see this week could feel like it's upwards of 130 degrees inside a car. So it's so important, even as we get into this week with temperatures running well above normal in the low to mid 80s, that you are not leaving kids behind in a car and you're not leaving pets behind in a car with the windows closed. So if that, if you're in a situation now where you're in a hot environment and you start to not feel well, it's important to recognize the difference between heat exhaustion and heat stroke. And there's a really big difference between these two. So with heat exhaustion, some of the first symptoms are feeling faint, dizzy, lightheaded. With heat stroke, it comes on more as a headache. Another difference is going to be the amount of sweating. With heat exhaustion, you're profusely sweating, but with heat stroke, your body has actually lost the ability to cool down. So then your skin becomes hot and dry and red. You're not sweating anymore. It's hot to the touch. Whereas with heat exhaustion, your body is still working hard to cool itself down. So you're cool, you're pale, you've got clammy skin. With both of these, you see nausea and vomiting. And then you see a rapid pulse with both heat exhaustion and heat stroke. But with heat exhaustion, it's a weak pulse, whereas with a heat stroke symptoms, it's a strong and bounding pulse. And then finally, with heat exhaustion, you could also see muscle cramps. That's a result of the dehydration. With heat stroke, this is where it becomes more of a medical emergency, where you could actually lose consciousness and even pass away if it's not addressed. So with heat exhaustion, you want to get the person out of the heat into a cool place. You want to give them lots of water to drink. With heat stroke, this is a medical emergency and you need to be calling 911. And finally, it's not just us that are susceptible to hot temperatures. You can't forget our pets as well. And heat stroke can happen in pets. And so some of the symptoms to look for here: excessive panting, discoloration on the gums, and finally, mobility problems. Hopefully you keep these tips in mind as we get into the hotter summer months and even into the springtime as temperatures start to run above normal some days like we've seen recently. And as we go through the rest of the week, we're going to have more safety tips and more information on the coming days and the tips here to keep you weather smart.